about some of the very pertinent questions. One is why Buddha visited to Rajgriha in search of his enlightenment to Gaya and Bodh Gaya. This reason. Instead, before the Buddha, there was the tradition mode often people who were in search of enlightenment or in quest of spirituality usually abandoned urban places and visited more often to rural areas in search of spirituality. And second, why Nalanda was established in the region of Badgaon and not in Rajgriha or Patliputra or Gaya, which were more famous sites for, while Patliputra was a place for political seat where there was ample space for patronage. Rajgriha was the ancient seat of politics, and Gaya and Bodh Gaya was a region well known for religiosity. So why the site was chosen far off from these places to a place in Badgaon which has such a historical connection with any bigger figure. If we exclude the birth and death of Mahamoglayana and Sariputta, the two disciples of Buddha, from the site of Badgaon. And so basically I will discuss on these 2 points and that too very briefly. So Nalanda, as we know, is emerged as a seat of higher learning in ancient India. It was established somewhere in around 4th, 5th century CE, and then it was demolished, or it gradually declined in 13th century CE. At the end of the 12th century CE, it was ransacked and invaded by Bhaktiar Khilji. A more circulating discourse that is usually circulating between the scholars. However, few scholars in recent have debated also on the same point, whether it was the Odantapuri where invasion took place or was it the Nalanda. And then a gradual decline took place in next 100 years by 1200 and some AD. And this Nalanda was established by the Gupta ruler Kumaragupta I. So these are some of the common factual points which we usually hear about. And then Rajgriha was a ancient first capital of ancient Magadhan Empire. It received fame much enough to be known as one of the major cities of ancient India. It was also a place for the second early historic urbanization that took place in Rajgriha, and that led to the emergence of several cities in all of these places. So these 2 places, Rajgriha and Nalanda, are well known for large number of pilgrimage sites. And not only pilgrimage, but also the intellectual pilgrimage in terms of people who are coming in search of knowledge and wisdom since ancient times. So the first question, why Buddha visited to Rajgriha and not to the Himalayan regions or some other place? He was in search of his own quest. He was in search of his own questions, and then while he was traveling to while he took his the trade route to travel along, he was in search of some gurus, and then he came to Alada Kalama, and he learned meditation and other different kind of knowledge that was already pre-existing. But his question was his quest was not satisfied with those, and then he moved on. So Magad, which was already a seat of politics, which was already a seat of power, by that time it also emerged as a place where there was already emerging intellectual landscape which had enough to offer or to host different kind of gurus who had enough potential to satisfy the curiosity and quest of the people who are in search of knowledge. And this possibly led Buddha to move instead to a place which was more urbanized site in search of knowledge, because it was hoped that by going in by debating with different kind of gurus, he would be able to satisfy his quest. And then he moved on to the forest of Gaya and Bodh Gaya, which was all located as sub-centers within the cultural ambit of the Magadhan capital Rajgriha, which already was a kind of taproot which was able to bring out different scholars of that time, or the spiritual gurus of that time, located all around that cultural ambit. And then Nalanda was established in Bargaon. It was a place somewhere which is devoid of any. Ashoka is a site which where number of events took place, where Buddha and Mahavira spent for a long period of time, and then it was a site also where the first Buddhist council took place. It was a well-known site to in the early historical period, where with enough potential to host bigger institution. However, and Gaya and Bodh Gaya, located very nearby, has a long association with religiosity, while Gaya was a place which was known from very earliest time for ancestral worship, and Bodh Gaya had association with Buddha just after that. While Nalanda, which was established in 4th century, doesn't have any long association with Buddha. It has somehow association with Sariputta and Mahamoggallana, which is usually taken into account for as a reason enough for the establishment of Nalanda. Nalanda was also a Bahirika of Rajgriha, a sub-center city in the locale of Rajgriha. So, and then a story comes about the Pavarika Ambavana, mango grove forest located somewhere in Nalanda where Buddha stayed. However, no historical reason have been, that historical place has not been discovered so far, and certain scholars also believe that this was possibly a site close to Pavapuri and nearby regions. So, while Patliputra, also located around just 60 kilometers from the site, was a place investment. I mean, the structures are created for longevity, which has a resilience for longer period of time, which are usually created for an unforeseeable future. Viharas were already pre-existing in ancient times. There were numerous viharas which has religious purpose in term. Mahavihara was more a scholastic endeavor, which was quite different from the kind of viharas that. So these were the structures which were where investment was more in where investment was more a conscious investment, which was in for creating institution is also creating institution for longevity. So why Nalanda was established in the region of Bargaon, I have looked upon the historical geographic reasons. So Rajgriha and Gaya, Rajgriha is a drought-prone area where the quartzite rocks, which are all around, generally water doesn't percolate inside, and in the extreme summer seasons, it led to a drought, and it created drought conditions which are not fit for, which are in fact unfit for hosting a large population, that too for a longer period of time, where as structures are always for a longer period of time. Institutions are created for in terms of longevity, looking for the longevity. While Patna or Patliputra, ancient Patliputra and Gaya, are more of flood-prone zone, where usually floods have occurred in the past, which was again unfit for carrying out large institutional activities in those regions. Bargaon in this term fits an ideal place, possibly, where large institutional structures can be established and can be carried out for a longer period of time. While it also existed on itself on a trade route on Uttarapatha, which was enough potential to act as a tap route to cater different kind of already moving pilgrims on a web of networks, whether social, cultural, economic, or religious networks, where people were moving on to Rajgriha, to Gaya and Bodh Gaya. And again, if we look Bargaon as a region which is located somewhere in midst of Gaya and Patliputra. Gaya is a place where you have charity. Patliputra is a place where you have patronage. So there is one side is charity and one side is patronage. Nalanda Bargaon becomes an ideal position which is fit for carrying out institutional activity, which can receive both the charity from one side and the patronage from the other side to carry out institutional activity for a longer period of time. And this possibly allowed Nalanda to thrive for a longer period of time, for more than 800 years of survival, where it witnessed continual expansion. So I was just basically looking from a historical geographic landscape point of view in why this region became an ideal place for carrying out such an institutional activities, and which remained a site where intellectual pilgrimage took place for such a long period of time, and still even in modern time, the reminiscent of those remains of ancient Nalanda, the people who are in search of knowledge, in search of quest of knowledge, they consider those as a temple and bow down to the ancient Nalanda. Thank you so much.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आजाद जी। आपने निसंदेह जो एक राजगीर और नालंदा क्षेत्र में विभिन्न बौद्ध तीर्थ हैं उसके ऊपर, उसके संवर्धन के ऊपर, कैसे उनका विकास हुआ, इस विषय में हम सबों का काफ़ी अच्छा ज्ञान लाभ किया। आपका बहुत बहुत आभार। हमारे बीच इस सत्र के अंतिम वक्ता हैं चंद्रमणि जी। चंद्रमणि जी हमारे बीच वैदिक धार्मिक व्यवस्था के ऊपर अपने विचार प्रस्तुत करेंगे। चंद्रमणि जी।